Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you gave your all to someone, your time, your energy, your love, only to feel like the more you gave, the less they valued it? It's frustrating, right? Because deep down, you know your love is real. Your loyalty is real. Your loyalty is real. But no matter how much you showed up, they didn't meet you there. And you start asking yourself questions like, what else can I do to make him see what he has in me? Why does it feel like the more I care, the less he does? And here's the truth no one tells you. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't to give more. It's to walk away, not to manipulate, not to punish, but to reclaim the value that's already inside of you. Because if someone doesn't recognize your worth while you're standing right in front of them, they might just need to feel what life is like without you in it. You see, it's in your absence, not your presence, that he often starts to realize what you really meant to him. It's when you step back that he steps forward. It's when you stop trying to prove yourself that he finally sees your worth. But walking away is hard because it's not just about letting go of the person. It's about letting go of the hope that they'll finally wake up and meet you where you've been standing all along. So today I want to break this down for you, not with fluff, but with clarity. Why walking away can be the very thing that reignites his desire, resets the power dynamic, and ultimately brings him closer, not just physically, but emotionally. By the end of this, you're going to understand something most people never do, that your strength doesn't lie in how tightly you hold on. It lies in how powerfully you choose yourself when someone else won't. Let's talk about why walking away makes him want you more, and why it just might be the most loving thing you ever do for yourself. You see, one of the most misunderstood truths in dating is the idea that love grows simply by being close, by always being available, by constantly showing up and doing more. We're taught to believe that presence alone will deepen connection, that if you're just around enough, kind enough, giving enough, somehow that will make someone realize how special you are. But here's the reality. When you're always there, you can start to feel invisible. Because what we don't realize is that desire doesn't live in closeness. It lives in space. It's not about distance for the sake of playing hard to get. It's about creating the very environment in which someone can actually feel your absence. Because if they never feel your absence, how will they ever miss you? Think about it. When something is constantly within reach, we stop noticing it. It becomes background noise. It doesn't matter how amazing it is. If it's always there, the mind takes it for granted. That's human nature. And it happens in relationships all the time. We start bending over backward for someone. We're always the one texting first, initiating plans, showing up emotionally, and slowly, without meaning to, we remove the space that allows someone to choose us. We're always already there, and then something strange happens. Instead of appreciation, we start to feel like our presence is being met with apathy. They don't text back as fast. They don't seem as engaged. They're not investing the way we are. And so, what do? We double down. We try harder. We give more. We make excuses for their behavior. We fear that pulling away will push them away completely. But what if, instead, pulling away was the very thing that actually gives the relationship a chance to breathe? Because here's what happens when you step back. You give them space to feel your value without your constant reminders. You give them time to wonder what your day is like, who you're with, what you're thinking. That curiosity, that wondering, that's where desire is born. When you walk away, not with anger, not with drama, but with quiet self-respect, you create a void. And people notice voids. He may not have realized how much he leaned on your energy until it's not there. He may not have seen how much security you gave him until it's suddenly missing. And that's when he begins to feel the discomfort of what life looks like without you in it. Now here's the part that's really important. Walking away isn't a trick. It's not a manipulation tactic. It's not about pulling strings. It's about alignment. You're not punishing him. You're honoring yourself. You're saying, if I have to constantly prove my worth to stay in your life, then maybe I'm not in the right life. That clarity is powerful. And paradoxically, it's that clarity, that refusal to chase, that can pull someone toward you in a way that being endlessly available never could. When someone realizes you've walked away, they're faced with a moment of truth. It forces them to confront whether they truly value you or whether they were just enjoying the comfort of your presence. And this is crucial, because someone who only wanted you when it was easy when it required no effort, isn't someone you want to build your future with. But someone who feels your absence and is willing to step up, lean in, and fight for you. That's someone who sees your value clearly. And make no mistake, when you walk away with confidence, they do notice. They may not say it immediately. They may not even show it right away, but they feel it. And the ones who truly care will make it known, because you're no longer the person chasing, you're the person choosing. So don't be afraid of space. Don't fear that stepping back will make someone forget you. If anything, it gives them the rare opportunity to remember you, not just as someone who was always there, but as someone they now have to rise to meet. And in that silence you leave behind, they just might realize that you were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person to give it. Confidence is magnetic. We hear that all the time, but most people misunderstand what real confidence actually looks like, especially in relationships. People think it means acting unbothered, playing it cool, pretending they don't care. But true confidence isn't about pretending. It's about knowing. It's the quiet strength that says, I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I'm not afraid to walk away if I'm not being met where I deserve to be met. When you walk away from someone who isn't showing up for you, it's one of the boldest, most self-assured moves you can make. Not because you're trying to get a reaction, but because you've stopped trying to convince someone of your value. You've realized you don't need to stay in a place where you're not being seen, because you already see yourself, and that's powerful. We live in a world that often teaches women that love is about endurance, about how much you're willing to tolerate, how patient you can be, how understanding and forgiving you are. And yes, those things matter in the right relationship, but they can also become traps when you're pouring into someone who isn't pouring back. And yet, because we care so deeply, we stay, we wait, we hope, we think, maybe if I just hold on a little longer, they'll finally realize how much I mean to them. But that kind of hope, when it's one-sided, becomes a weight you carry. You start shrinking just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You silence your needs because you don't want to seem too much. You accept crumbs of effort because something feels better than nothing. Until one day, it doesn't. And that's the moment everything changes, because it's the moment you choose you. That moment when you stop fearing what you might lose and start focusing on what you've already been giving away. Your peace, your energy, your joy, and you take it all back. And when you do that, when you walk away from a situation that isn't serving you, not with anger, but with dignity, you radiate a kind of confidence that's undeniable. That energy is felt. That's the moment people start to sit up and take notice. Because you're no longer seeking love from a place of lack. When he's alone with his thoughts and realizes that your presence wasn't just convenient, it was rare, he starts to see that you weren't there because you needed him. You were there because you chose him. And now he has to sit with the fact that he took that choice for granted. All right? That shift changes everything. Because men notice when they lose access to someone who knows her worth. They notice when the woman who was once patient, forgiving, and understanding finally decides to stop waiting. And while some women walk away in silence, that silence is louder than any words. It echoes, it lingers, it forces reflection. And here's what most people get wrong. They think walking away is weakness, that it's giving up. But it's the opposite. It's one of the strongest moves you can make. Because it takes courage to walk away when your heart still cares. It takes courage to leave when you're unsure what comes next. But that courage sends a message. It tells the world, and more importantly yourself, that you won't settle for half-hearted love, for mixed signals, for lukewarm effort. You don't walk away because you've stopped caring. You walk away because you've started caring more about you, about your peace, about your standards, about what you deserve. And when you do that, you stop showing up from a place of desperation. You stop needing someone to choose you because you've already chosen yourself. And that version of you, the one who knows she's worthy, the one who doesn't beg, the one who doesn't chase, that's the version of you he remembers. That's the version that makes him want to come back. Not because he feels guilty, but because he finally sees what he almost lost. So when you walk away with confidence, remember this, it's not the end of your story. It's the start of a new chapter, one where love meets you at your level, or not at all. There's something really powerful that happens when you decide to stop over-functioning in a relationship. When you step back from constantly being the one who fixes things, the one who initiates, the one who maintains the connection, you disrupt the dynamic in a way that forces clarity. Because in so many relationships, especially the ones that leave you feeling drained, you're not actually being loved. You're being maintained. You're doing the work for both people. You're keeping the bond alive through your effort, your presence, your emotional labor. And the moment you stop, everything shifts. That's what people don't realize. Power in relationships isn't about control, it's about balance. And when you're always the one giving more, trying harder, reaching further, you're actually tipping the scales. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're afraid that if you don't hold it all together, the whole thing will fall apart. And that's a terrifying feeling, to think that the connection depends on you constantly showing up more than they do. But here's the truth. If walking away causes the relationship to fall apart, it was already broken. You just stopped holding it up by yourself. When you disrupt the dynamic by walking away, you stop feeding the illusion that everything is fine. You stop pretending that their bare minimum is enough. You stop enabling their comfort by sacrificing your own. And that moment, where you stop absorbing all the emotional responsibility, is the moment they're faced with reality. For the first time, they have to ask themselves, what happens if she really leaves? That kind of disruption can be uncomfortable, even scary, especially when you've spent so long trying to be the steady one, the reliable one. The one who forgives too quickly, explains too often, and stays too long. But sometimes the only way someone can truly see what you've been doing for them is when you stop doing it. And when you do, two things can happen. Either they step up, or they let it go. And either way, you get your answer. And yes, it's hard, because deep down, there's a part of you that hopes walking away will make them fight for you, that they'll chase after you, apologize, say they finally get it, and maybe they will. But the most important part isn't what they do, it's what you do. It's what you do. That you chose to step out of a dynamic that was costing you too much. That you finally gave yourself permission to stop carrying a connection that wasn't being carried with you. You're not leaving to test them. You're not leaving to make a point. You're leaving because the dynamic has been lopsided for too long, and you're no longer willing to be the only one invested. You're no longer interested in convincing someone of your worth while they stay passive, indifferent, or inconsistent. And the irony. When you walk away from that imbalance, it often shocks the system because they weren't expecting it. They were comfortable. They were used to the rhythm of you always showing up no matter how little they gave. They had gotten so used to your loyalty, your patience, your presence, that they forgot it was a choice, not a guarantee. When that choice is taken away, everything feels different. Suddenly, your silence speaks volumes. Your absence creates tension. Attention. They begin to feel the weight of everything you used to give so freely. Your attention, your affection, your emotional labor. And they have to decide, were they just enjoying the benefits of your effort, or were they truly ready to match it? This disruption of the dynamic reveals the truth. And yes, sometimes the truth hurts, but it also sets you free, because no matter what their response is, you're no longer trapped in a loop of trying to prove yourself. You've reclaimed your power. You've stepped out of the imbalance and into alignment. You've chosen peace over performance. And that, more than anything, opens the door to a love that's mutual, equal, and real. So if you've been holding up more than your share, if you've been bending until you're breaking, know that walking away isn't weakness. It's the moment the dynamic reset. And if someone truly wants to meet you halfway, that's when they'll show up. Not while you're doing all the work, but when you stop. One of the most painful truths in relationships is this: when you're always there, when you're always giving, when you're always reliable, people start to confuse your presence with permanence. They stop seeing you as a conscious choice and start seeing you as a fixture, part of the background, something expected. And in that comfort, something dangerous happens. You stop being appreciated, and you start being assumed. You become part of their routine. You're the good morning text they expect, the emotional support they lean on, the consistent energy they no longer have to earn. You're not seen as a woman who chooses to love someone every day. You're seen as someone who will stay, no matter how little they give back. And that's when your value begins to blur, not because it's changed, but because it's no longer being recognized. But here's what's powerful. When you walk away, when you remove yourself from that space of being taken for granted, everything shifts. You no longer feel like a habit. You become a loss. And that loss, if you've truly been showing up with love, effort, and honesty, is something they feel. Not always right away, but slowly, in quiet moments in the space you used to feel so natural. They notice the absence of your laughter in their day. They reach for their phone and realize your message isn't there. They hear a song, go to share a joke, start to tell you something, and remember, you're not listening anymore. And that's when it hits. That all the things you gave, your time, your energy, your care, they weren't just parts of you, they were privileges. And now those privileges are gone. Because when someone no longer has access to you, they're forced to confront the truth about what your presence really meant. They're no longer looking at you through the lens of routine. They're looking at you through the lens of memory. And memory has a way of sharpening everything we dulled with comfort. Suddenly, what once felt normal feels golden. What once felt casual feels rare. People often only realize the depth of what they had when it's no longer available to them. It's not that they didn't care before, it's that they didn't have to. They were receiving your effort without needing to earn it, win it. And when you finally step back, it's not punishment. It's the moment reality lands. It's the moment they realize that someone else's love was never owed to them. It was given freely, and now it's not. You see, walking away doesn't just create space for them to miss you. It forces them to re-evaluate you. And when someone re-evaluates you from a place of loss, rather than comfort, that evaluation is often more honest. They start to see what they couldn't see before. The way you were patient when they were distant, the way you believed in them when they were unsure of themselves, the way you stayed loyal even when you felt unappreciated. And suddenly, all those quiet, consistent things you did start to feel significant. But this only happens after you walk away, eh? As long as you stay in a dynamic where you're being taken for granted, there's no reason for someone to wake up. Why would they? They're already receiving the benefit of your presence without the responsibility of meeting your needs. That's why the moment you step out of that dynamic is the moment the story changes. You become the woman who left, the one who had the courage to stop waiting, the one who refused to be treated like a placeholder. And that courage, it echoes, it lingers in their mind, it challenges their behavior. It forces them to ask themselves what kind of person they were and what kind of person you must be to walk away from what wasn't enough. And yes, there's always the chance that they won't come after you, that they'll let the distance stay. And that can hurt. But here's what's beautiful. You will no longer be someone's habit. You will no longer be showing up where your presence is unnoticed. You'll have become something unforgettable, not because you stayed, but because you left. You left. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't to love louder or give more. It's to go quiet, to disappear, and to let the silence speak for itself. And in that silence, you don't just show them who you are, you remind yourself that you were never just part of their routine. You were the part they should have held on to tighter.